Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Howdy, Full Metal Cowboy, straight shooting a review of the film Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. The third installment of the Mad Max franchise was released in 1985, 4 years after its predecessor, Mad Max 2, also known as The Road Warrior. Just like the previous two films, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome is directed by George Miller, as well as George... I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm just going to put it at the bottom of the screen. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome is also the last time we see Mel Gibson in the role of Max. Also, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome is the only film in this franchise to be rated PG-13. Let's look on the bright side. At least this isn't as bad as, say, Live Free or Die Hard, the only film in the Die Hard franchise to be rated PG-13, whereas the rest is rated R. And the unrated cut of Live Free or Die Hard is really how the film should have been released in theaters. Because the Die Hard franchise definitely has its staples, and that's exactly why Die Hard has always been a rated R franchise, with the exception of the theatrical cut of Live Free or Die Hard. With Mad Max, what you should expect from this franchise are great action scenes that usually involve cars. If Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome had plenty of action scenes involving cars, you can still do PG-13. I'm not against the idea of a Mad Max film being PG-13. All you would need to do is cut out the swearing and don't make the action scenes super bloody or super violent. And you got yourself an entertaining action film involving a lot of cars. Rated PG-13. It's been done before and it can be done again. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome is often cited as the least favorite installment in the Mad Max franchise, and after seeing the first two films, I can see why. This is a much different Mad Max film than what the first two Mad Max films have shown. While Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome has a different feel compared to the previous two films, I can at least say this. The first act is entertaining to say the least, especially the fight within the titular Thunderdome. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome is not as action-packed as the other films in the franchise, and where the film goes into a screeching halt is when Max encounters a group of kids. This is a section I'm not particularly the most fond of because I think it really does slow the film down. At least how the kids interact with each other and Max is at least worth watching, but given what I'm used to with this franchise, this is not what I would expect in a Mad Max film. The original Mad Max also had cool down in its second act, but it led to a tragic yet memorable third act, whereas Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome has cooled down in its second act and leads to an action sequence in its third act, which is nice to see, but given the gravity of that action scene, I just don't think it's as strong as the others. When I finally sat down and watched Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, I was aware that it was the least favorite in the entire franchise, and I expected this not to be on par with the first two Mad Max films as well as Mad Max Fury Road. But what if I could enjoy this as its own work? Well, there are some things I enjoyed, as I've already made clear a couple times. The action scenes are my favorite part about Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. I really think they are shot competently well, and I was able to enjoy the time spent on watching these action scenes. I could go on YouTube and watch those scenes again if I wanted to. But what really prevents me from loving Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome is its tone. It is the lightest Mad Max film in the entire franchise, and this is something that feels out of place in the Mad Max franchise given what we have seen before with the previous two Mad Max films. And it doesn't even help that Mad Max Fury Road came out 30 years after Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. So yeah, going into the Mad Max franchise back in 2015 with Mad Max Fury Road, and then watching the original 3 Mad Max films a few years later, I can't help but state that Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome is my least favorite. I don't find it on par with the other films that I actually do prefer more because of what was depicted in those films. I'm going to be shooting a 5 out of 10 for Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. You know what's coming next week, so stay tuned in my series of Mad Max reviews, because next week I will be making one last stop for now until a 5th installment comes out with Mad Max Fury Road. I'll be reloading for my next reviews, so until then, I'll see you later. And it's gonna be a lovely day next week!